I spent 6 months dying slowly, but not just from illness. It was the silence that killed me first. My own daughter, Emily, the girl I raised with trembling hands and sleepless nights, vanished the moment I needed her most. While machines kept me alive, she lived like I didn't exist. I waited, day after day. 182 sunrises. 182 chances for her to walk through that door. She never came, but someone else did. A nurse with tired eyes and a soft voice. She held my hand when it shook. She cleaned my face when I cried. She remembered my name when my own child acted like I didn't have one. And that's when it broke me. Blood doesn't make family. Showing up does. This isn't just a story about sickness. It's about betrayal, and the stranger who filled the emptiest room in my life with something my own daughter couldn't give: love. Before the beeping machines and the smell of antiseptic became my whole world, my life was full of color. And most of that color was Emily. From the day she was born, my world spun around her. I still remember the day we started her college fund. She was 6, all gap-toothed smiles and scraped knees. We were sitting in the backyard, and I brought home this little yellow ceramic piggy bank. "What's this for, Daddy?" she asked, her little fingers tracing its smile. "This," I said with a little tap, "is for your future. This is for college." She tilted her head. "What's college?" "It's a place you go to learn how to be anything you want. A doctor, an artist, an astronaut, anything you can dream of." Her eyes, the same deep blue as her mother's, went wide. "An astronaut? Anything, I promised." I folded a crisp dollar bill into a tiny square and pushed it through the slot. "This is the first one. From now on, every spare dollar I have goes in here. For you. For your dream." That piggy bank eventually became a real savings account, and I fed it like it was my religion. Every overtime shift, every time I said no to a new fishing rod or a trip with my buddies, it all went into the fund. It wasn't a sacrifice. It was an investment in her. Those numbers in the bank statement weren't just dollars and cents. They were late nights and early mornings. They were missed vacations and worn-out work boots. When we lost her mom, Emily was only 12. The world got quiet and gray for a while. We clung to each other, just trying to figure out how to go on. The college fund became even more important then. It was a promise I'd made not just to Emily, but to her mother. A vow that I would give our daughter the world, even if her mom couldn't be there to see it. We'd spread university brochures all over the living room floor. "This one has a great arts program, Dad," she'd say, buzzing with excitement. "You just pick the one that feels right," and I'd tell her, my heart about to burst with pride. "Don't you worry about the cost. That's my job. Your job is to dream big." And she was a great kid. Smart, funny, full of life. As she grew up, I thought our bond was unbreakable. It was us against the world. When she graduated high school, I spotted her on stage, and our eyes met. I gave her a thumbs up, trying to hide that I was getting misty, and she gave me this giant smile that lit up the whole room. That night at dinner, I slid the latest bank statement across the table. Her jaw dropped. "Dad, this is it so much." "I told you, kiddo. I promised you the world." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Thank you. I won't let you down." I believed her. With every fiber of my being, I believed her. That promise, that bond, was the foundation of my life. The fund was more than tuition money. It was a symbol of everything we'd been through and everything she could become. I had no idea that in less than a year, it would become a symbol of the worst betrayal of my life. My world fell apart on a Tuesday. One minute, I was in the garage, sanding down an old rocking chair. The next, a pain like a bolt of lightning shot through my chest. I remember the floorboards on my cheek, the smell of sawdust, and a crushing weight that felt like the end. The first few days in the hospital were a morphine and doctor-speak blur. A major heart attack. A very close call. When the fog finally started to lift, only one thought cut through it: Emily. I fumbled for the call button. "My daughter," I rasped to the nurse. "I need to call my daughter." My hands were shaking as I held the phone. It rang and rang. Voicemail. "Hey, it's Em. Leave a message." "Em, honey, it's Dad." My voice cracked. "I'm in the hospital. St. Mary's. It was serious. But I'm okay. Please call me." I just stared at the door, sure she'd burst through it any second. Her university was only an hour's drive away. Just an hour. She called back that night, her voice a whirlwind of concern. "Dad, oh my God, I just got your message. Are you okay? What happened?" Relief washed over me. "I'm okay, sweetie. A heart attack. The doctors say I'm lucky." "A heart attack? Oh my God." Listen, I have this monster midterm tomorrow. It's worth like 40% of my grade. But I'll come right after, I promise. Saturday, at the latest. Of course, honey. School's important, I said, the disappointment a bitter taste in my mouth. Focus on your test. Saturday came and went. A text finally popped up in the afternoon. Hey, Dad, so sorry. Study group ran super late, then my friend Jen had a meltdown over her breakup. I feel awful. We'll try for next week for sure. Love you. Next week. The week after that, her car was making a weird noise. Then she had a cold. Then a weekend trip that was non-refundable. Each excuse seemed plausible enough on its own, but strung together, they started to feel like a chain of neglect wrapped around my chest. My calls went to voicemail. My texts got short, delayed replies. Weeks turned into a month. Then two. My body was healing slowly, but the loneliness was a sharper pain. I saw other families come and go, their chatter and laughter echoing in the hall. My room stayed quiet. I started making up excuses for Emily to the nurses. She's just so swamped with her pre-med courses, I'd say, trying to sound proud, not pathetic. The lie felt disgusting. At the 3-month mark, I had a setback. An infection. I was at my lowest point, and I called her, all my pride gone. And please, I begged. I really need to see you. Dad, I can't right now, she said, and her voice had this edge of annoyance that just shattered me. I have finals. You don't get how much pressure I'm under. I'm your father, I whispered. I'm in the hospital, and I'll get there when I can, she snapped. You're not the only one with problems. Just be patient. She hung up. The dial tone buzzed in my ear, a sound more final than any diagnosis. The silence that followed wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with the deafening roar of being abandoned. I was alone, and I started the slow, painful process of realizing my daughter had simply left me behind. In that bleak hospital world, where the only thing that changed was the name on the nurse's whiteboard, a little bit of light found its way in. Her name was Sarah. At first, I just noticed her with the elderly woman in the bed across from me. She talked to her, not like a patient, but like a friend, telling her about her kids and brushing her hair with a gentleness that was incredible to watch. Then one day, Sarah walked into my room. Good morning, Mr. Jensen, she said with a warm smile. I'm Sarah. I'll be looking after you today. By then, I'd become a pretty grumpy patient. I gave one-word answers and mostly just stared out the window. But Sarah was different. She didn't push. She just did her job with this quiet competence that was a comfort all on its own. One afternoon, she nodded to the photo of Emily on my bedside table. That's a beautiful photo. My daughter, I mumbled. She has a great smile, Sarah said. She didn't ask the question that always made me flinch. When is she visiting? She just added, it must be nice to have that to look at. It was a small thing, but it was everything. She saw I was hurting and chose not to poke the bruise. As the weeks went by, Sarah became my person. She learned I like my coffee with 2 creams. She'd bring me an extra pillow without me asking. She saw me struggling with the crossword and would pop it on her break. 17 down, she'd whisper, a feeling of deep distress. 7 letters. I think it's anguish. She was there for the bad days, when the pain was overwhelming. And she was there for the small victories, like the first time I walked the whole length of the hallway. She was at the end of it, cheering me on like I'd just run a marathon. She started calling me Martin. I learned she was a single mom to 2 boys, working double shifts to save for a down payment on a little house. She talked about her sons with the same bottomless love I used to feel when I talked about Emily. One evening, I was feeling lower than ever. It was my 58th birthday. I hadn't told anyone. As Sarah was finishing her shift, she came in with a small cupcake from the cafeteria, a single unlit candle stuck in the top. A little bird told me it was a special day, she said softly. I just stared at her, my eyes instantly flooding with tears. I couldn't speak. She started to sing Happy Birthday in this quiet, a little off-key voice. That small, simple act of kindness was the greatest gift I had ever received. It was proof that I still mattered. And then I just broke. The dam I'd built for months crumbled, and I wept. For my health, for my loneliness, for my daughter who wasn't there. Sarah didn't say a thing. She just pulled up a chair and put her hand on my arm. Her shift had ended an hour ago. She had kids at home, but she stayed until I was done crying. You're a good man, Martin, she whispered. You don't deserve this. From that day on, she wasn't just my nurse. She was my friend. She was the one who listened, without judgment, as I wrestled with my love and anger for Emily. She was my caregiver in the truest sense of the word, tending not just to my body, but to my shattered spirit. This has been one of the hardest chapters of my life, and telling this story isn't easy. But if it's hitting home for you, if you've ever felt that sting of betrayal or the warmth of unexpected kindness, please take a second to subscribe. It helps more than you know, and lets us share these stories with others who need to hear they're not alone. Now, back to the story. The decision didn't come like a bolt of lightning. It was more like a slow tide turning. It started in the middle of the night, when I'd lie awake and think about every sacrifice I'd made for Emily, every dollar I'd tucked away. And I'd compare those golden memories with the cold reality of my hospital room. 6 months. Not one visit. The excuses had dried up, replaced by a painful, echoing silence. The final straw came on a dreary Thursday afternoon. The 6-month anniversary of my heart attack. The phone by my bed rang, and my heart did its usual, foolish leap of hope. It was Emily. Dad, Emily. Failure. Hey, listen, I'm between classes, so I don't have much time. I was just on the tuition portal, and it says the payment is due. Did you forget to transfer the money from the college fund? No, how are you? No, wow, 6 months, Dad. Just the money. It was a transaction. I wasn't her father anymore. I was her bank. Something inside me that had been cracking for months finally snapped. The hurt and anger settled into a strange, quiet calm. A moment of absolute clarity. The money. I repeated, my voice flat. That's why you called. Well, yeah, she said, completely oblivious. The deadline's tomorrow. I just need you to move it over. I looked across at Sarah, who was trying to look busy but could feel the tension. She was such a stark contrast to the voice on the phone. Sarah, who brought me a cupcake. Sarah, who held my hand. Sarah, who was working herself to the bone for her kids while my daughter couldn't be bothered to drive an hour to see me. I can't do that, Emily, I said. What do you mean you can't? Is the website down or something? No, Emily, I said, my voice getting stronger. I mean, I won't do it. I'm not transferring the money. Silence. Then what? Is this a joke? Dad, I need that money. It's my college fund. Is it? I asked. I thought a fund was a shared dream. When's the last time we shared anything, Em? When's the last time you acted like my daughter? This is insane, she sputtered. Are the meds making you crazy? What have those nurses been telling you? And there it was, blaming the nurse. The only person who had shown me any real kindness. Goodbye, Emily, I said, and I pressed the button in the call. The room was quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of silence. The quiet after a storm has broken. I looked at Sarah. Her face was a mix of shock and concern. I'm sorry you had to hear that, I said. She just shook her head. Martin, you have nothing to be sorry for. I took a deep breath. The decision was made. Sarah, I said, my gaze steady. Can you do me a favor? Can you get me the number for my lawyer? And can you ask him if what I'm thinking is even possible? It wasn't about revenge. It was about acknowledging the truth. Family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. The college fund was an investment in a dream. Well, the dream had changed. 2 weeks later, the storm made landfall. The door to my room flew open, and there she was. Emily, for the first time in over half a year. She looked furious, clutching her phone like a weapon. What did you do? She hissed. No, hello, no, how are you? I was surprisingly calm. I'd already grieved the daughter I thought I had. This person was a stranger. Hello, Emily. It's been a while. Don't you hello Emily me, she snapped. I got a letter from your lawyer. A letter? You're cutting me off? Giving away my college fund? After everything I've been through. What you been through? I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. I spent 196 days in this room, Emily. I almost died. I had to learn to walk again. I spent my 58th birthday staring at this ceiling. Where were you? I was busy, she shrieked. I have a life. I can't just drop everything because you get a little sick. A little sick? I let out a bitter laugh. I almost died. Did you ever once ask the doctors how I was doing? Or did you just care about the tuition payments? She looked away for a split second, but defiance took over. This is about that nurse, isn't it? Sarah, the letter says you're giving my money to some stranger who fluffs your pillows. Her contempt made my resolve turn to steel. First of all, I said, my voice firm, it is not your money. It is my money. Money I earned working when you were asleep. It was a gift I intended to give you, one based on love and respect. You broke that contract. I pushed myself up against the pillows. And second, you will not speak about Sarah that way. That stranger showed me more compassion in 6 months than you have in years. That stranger held my hand when I was scared. That stranger brought me a cupcake for my birthday because she knew my own daughter wouldn't even bother to call. She didn't just fluff my pillows, Emily. She saved my spirit. The part of me you left to die in this room. Tears of pure rage streamed down her face. You can't do this. You'll ruin my life. You're my father. You're supposed to take care of me. I am your father. I agreed, a wave of sadness hitting me. My whole life has been about taking care of you. I thought I was raising a daughter, but I see now I was just raising a dependent. The financial support ends now. But the bond we had, you severed that long before I called any lawyer. I hate you, she sobbed. I know, I said. And the tragedy is, I still love you. I love the memory of the little girl who wanted to be an astronaut. But I don't know who you are anymore. My decision is final. I pointed to the door. I think it's time for you to leave. She stared at me, then threw the letter on the floor and stormed out. A vortex of silence filled the room. But for the first time, it didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like peace. The quiet after Emily left was profound. It was the quiet of a battlefield after the war is over. I was sad for what I'd lost, but underneath it, I felt a solid foundation of peace. I had finally stood up for myself. A few days later, my lawyer finalized everything. The college fund was dissolved. A large portion was set aside for my own medical future. The rest, a truly life-changing amount, was placed into a trust for Sarah and her 2 boys. My lawyer had made sure it was all handled carefully and ethically, structured not as a simple gift from a patient, but as a formal act from one citizen to another, honoring her character. The day I left the hospital for a rehab center, Sarah came to help me pack. It was her day off. As she folded my sweater, I handed her a thick envelope. Sarah, I started, my voice choking up. I don't know how to thank you. She just smiled. Martin, I was just doing my job. Insista. You were my friend. You were my family. Please open this. She pulled out the legal documents, her brow furrowed. She read the first page, then read it again. Her face went pale. Martin, what is this? She whispered. This can't be real. This is more money than I've ever dreamed of. It's very real, I said softly. It was a college fund for my daughter. But I've learned that a real education is about empathy and character. You taught me that. This money was for a future I believed in. Now, I believe in your future, and in your son's futures. Tears streamed down her face as she sank into the chair. I can't accept this, she stammered. It's not right. It's your daughter's. My daughter made her choice, I said gently. And I've made mine. This isn't for my nurse, Sarah. This is for my friend. This is for the cupcake. This is for holding my hand in the dark. You can't put a price on that kind of kindness, but you can honor it. Please, let me honor you. She finally looked up, her expression a mix of shock and gratitude. You're going to change my life, Martin, she said through her tears. You already changed mine, Sarah, I replied. A new family was forged in that moment, built on shared humanity. Sarah and her boys became a constant in my life, visiting me at the rehab center, filling the quiet room with laughter and board games. I never heard from Emily again. The silence that was once so painful is now just a quiet, sad fact. I hope one day she figures out that what you're given in life is less important than what you give back. I learned a hard lesson in that hospital. True wealth isn't in a bank account. It's in the connections you make. Family isn't written in DNA. It's a choice you make every single day by showing up, by holding on, and by caring. I lost a daughter, but I found a family. And in the end, I found a kind of peace that no amount of money could ever buy. Thank you for listening to my story. The world is full of complicated relationships, and sometimes just sharing our experiences can make us all feel a little less alone. If you have a story about a time when family came from an unexpected place, I'd love to read it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories about the messy, beautiful, and complicated thing we call life.